Good morning, this is Tony with Tony's Tool Finds again. I've got another video I'm going to show you. This is going to be homemade tools. Some I made, some my father-in-law made, and some other people made. And it's getting close to New Year's, and I've got my Alabama hat on out here in the garage. There's still some things I'd like to find to show in this video. I've already tried it one time, but I lose things out in the garage here sometimes, and I can't find exactly everything I wanted. But I've got a lot of stuff to show you, so I hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you. This is my sewing machine that I use to do upholstery work, and it broke, and I had to, I ordered a new part twice, and it was wrong both times. So then I welded the piece together and got it back going. Here's some seats that I recovered for my garage. Well, I was hoping that I might sell them, but I just wasn't happy with the way they looked. They didn't turn out quite as good. So I made two of these for my garage. Now I made these little pieces that go against right there, and screws go in to hold it in place to guide whatever you're sewing. So that's a couple little homemade pieces I made. Okay, I've got most of it laying on the table here. Looks like a bunch of junk. Some of it's not much more than that, but at one time they were all useful tools. When I worked on race cars, first started helping them back about 1968. My uncle, I think, had worked out at Ingalls Iron Works in Birmingham, and he had made this homemade pickle fork to try to drive ball joints apart. And you can see it's been beat on a few times. It's, I'd like to say it works terrific, but it'll just get you by maybe. But I've had that for years. I got this the other day, and I don't know why they did this. See, they brazed an extension onto it, and that is 9/32. It's not a quarter, and it's not 3/8, and they just brazed it on. It fits good in your hand. I'm not real sure what they were thinking when they did it, but they altered it. Now, I've had Alfa Romeos for years, and the oil sending units are 14 millimeter, and they're hard to get to. You can't get a long wrench on them, and you can't get a thick wrench on them. So this was a little 13 millimeter I picked up, and I ground it to fit a 14, and then I made it thinner so that it would go between the switch and the block. And sometimes you'll have to stick it on and take a hammer and hit it to break it loose, but sometimes you can break it loose with your hand, but you can't get a long wrench in there. So that's a little Alfa Romeo tool. Now, my brother-in-law gave me some tools the other day, and this was in it, and I really didn't have a I've always used channel locks and other things to push brake pistons in, but this is a brake piston pusher, and it was missing this piece. So I got some washers and put on the end of it and welded them, and looks like it'll work good. I hadn't tried it yet. Now I've got MGAs, and when I first got my MGA, I had to take the front hubs off, and I couldn't get them off. And I saw that you could buy pullers, but I had some spare pieces. One's the left hand, one's the right hand. And so I made these. This is one of them. Didn't make them out of the same thing, you can see. They're not made for looks. They're just made to use, and they're not perfect, but they'll get you by. Work pretty good. I'm gonna show a little thing from World War II here just because it's altered. I bought this the other day for $10, and it's a great little bayonet, World War II, probably made about 1944. Now I had this one, and the handles broke off of it. I got it for nearly nothing. But if you look, you can see how the channel goes all the way to the tip. And that's because this one was altered. It was probably this much longer, and somebody during World War II cut it down to the smaller size, and I got a small scabbard for it, and it'll go in there. Now, if you look at this one, you'll see that the channel stops right here. So this one was made like this, but that other one was altered during World War II. Now this right here, we use this at work, and we had a little round key. I'm trying to think of what you might call them, about the size of a quarter. And you would use stencils and put numbers in the little brass pieces to put on the key rings for the truck. So we would use this kindly as an anvil. This right here, my father-in-law made, and you can see it was made out of a socket, but it's made for compressing valve springs on the vehicle. And I'm not sure if this is for flatheads or what this is for, but you can see he made this. Just push them down, and then you can take the keepers out of them. Now he made, I don't know if he did these at work or did them at home, but he had these pieces of brass rod, and he bent them to fit these saw blades. And he made 2 or 3 of these. I've got a couple of them, but these are little homemade saws. Now on my Alfa Romeos, I have to put rear main seals in them sometimes pull the transmission out and put the rear main seal in behind the flywheel in the engine. And so I use this to drive the seal in the engine. Little homemade tool. I tried to find my dial indicator, and I hadn't been able to find it, but back about 1972, I was using this on race car engines, helping, and put the dial indicator on, and you could use this as a pointer to point to the dial indicator. Now these were 289s and 302s, so they are car specific probably. And here's the little part that I made to get top dead center. You just screw this in this spark plug hole, turn it over one way, see where you're at, turn it over the other way and split the difference. And that was top dead center, just to check it. Now this is a little tool that I made for replacing valve seals with the heads on the car. You put this in the spark plug hole, put air pressure on it, and you can push the spring down and take the spring off, replace the valve seal, and the air pressure will keep the valve pushed up against the head the whole time. So that's a little homemade tool I made. Now on these Alfa Romeos, sometimes I have to rebuild the calipers. And you can screw this in the caliper. Sometimes you can put air pressure on it, and you can blow the pistons out. But sometimes I'll have to take this off because it'll sit there for an hour and won't move. And I'll hook a grease gun up to this. I've got an electric grease gun. And that grease gun puts a lot more pressure on it and it'll push your pistons right out. You just put something between them so you push them almost all the way out. And then you can get them. Now we use these on race cars. This isn't mine. This was one my father-in-law made. But this is for scribing the tires to check the toe in. Let me see if I can move this up a little bit. You can put the tire right against it and roll it, and it'll scribe the tire all the way around. You do that on both sides. Then you can take a tape measure or a tool, and you can check your toe in. So he made this. He did a good job. He was a perfectionist, kindly. And so I've got this, and I've used it on my Alfa Romeos. Now he made this to take door panels off, my father-in-law did. Put a little tape on the end, protect his hand. But that's for taking door panels off, get right under the clip, push them up. Now, he didn't tell me exactly what this is for, but I assume it's for a distributor. And he worked out at maybe, might have called it Bechtel. And he got some snap-on ferret T-bars out there. And so he had 8 or 10 of them when I met him. He gave me one. But this piece and this piece are the snap-on ferret T-bars that were made during World War II. And he made this, we're going to call it a distributor wrench. Now, I've got a few things here. And, you know, his father could have made these, my wife's grandfather's. But this is a knife. It's got tape on it, and it's been painted over with something so that it won't come loose. But that's a homemade knife. I haven't tried to sharpen it. Here's another one. It's got a little hawk bill on it. And I don't know if this was made for carpet, but you can see they put string on it and then painted over it. Another little homemade knife. Those look like, you know, I've always heard that those look like what you might see in a prison, but I don't know. Now here is a scraper that he made. Put some kind of covering on it. That looks kind of like tape. I'm not sure. And then it was painted maybe with some kind of epoxy paint. Got a pretty sharp, and it is heavy duty. So that's something he made. Now when I got my MGA running, I had to adjust the carburetors. So I bought this. And you put this on each carburetor and you adjust both of them the same. Well, I couldn't get this on the carburetors. So I made this tool that goes in there, and then you stick this in their carburetor, and then you can adjust them and make them both the same. So that's a little tool that I made. Now, I got this from my son's father. He died, and my son gave this to me. And it looks like an old spring. See how it's shaped on the end? It's doubled together. It's got a nut right here. I don't know if this is made for prying. You know, never got to ask him what it was made for. But I got this little homemade tool. And I'm sure you've seen these for balancing lawnmower blades. Well, my father-in-law had a bigger lawnmower, and the blade wouldn't fit on this, so he made this piece to go on it. And you stick your lawnmower blade on it, and you can balance your lawnmower blade. So that's one thing he made. Now, when I worked at Alabama Power, we had to work on semi-truck brakes. And this is a little pin that the brake shoe goes against, and it goes inside a bushing. And so sometimes I'd have to knock the bushings out and put new bushings back in them. So I made this tool that the bushing would slide over this, and you could drive it in and replace the bushings. Now, I went to work at Tom Williams Buick about 1982. And there was a guy there named Gus Guston. He was just working part-time, and he had worked there before World War II, went in the Army Air Corps, and came back and went back to work at Tom Williams, which at that time was called Drennan Motor Company. And Tom Williams was Mr. Drennan's son-in-law. So Gus made this for me to go on my workbench and to stick transmission hubs down in with output shafts on them and such as that, and work on them, put new clutches in them. Now, he also made this, and he was a very smart person, but these are for compressing the springs on those clutches. And then you take the clips out that hold them together, take it apart, put new clutches and plates in it, and repair the transmission. Now I'm going to show you one more thing, just because I like this so much. I bought it off eBay years ago, and it's not in the best of shape, but it's called a Waverly UVX4 engine rejuvenator. You can hook all these up to the cylinders. It was made for a 4-cylinder car. You can kill each cylinder by doing this, and it'll tell you where, I don't know exactly how it works, but you need some of that Waverly elixir to put in it. And I guess you hook this up to a vacuum, and you can put the Waverly elixir in it and clean the pistons and the valves and such as that. But I just thought that was neat. Probably got that 20 years ago or more, I don't know. But that's about all I'm going to show you today. And I'll say goodbye in just a second. Well, that took a little bit longer than I thought. I hope you enjoyed it, and you can like and subscribe. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you.